Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the greatest recordings ever. And today we are talking about Mahler, Symphony number 4. Boy, is this symphony done well on disc. I mean, there are just a bazillion really, really fine recordings that we could choose from. But I've picked one that's actually kind of interesting for like a zillion reasons, and I'm going to tell you what they are. Well, maybe not a zillion, but a lot of reasons. It's Lorin Maazel with the Vienna Philharmonic, yes, and Kathleen soprano. Okay, on Sony. First of all, Lorin Maazel. Well, as we all know, Lorin Maazel can be either fabulous or he can be really, really weird, and he tends to run to either extreme. His relationship with Mahler is a troubled one, in my view. He actually recorded 3 complete Mahler cycles, which I find absolutely, well, demented, considering that nobody ever cared about his Mahler particularly. But there was the Vienna Philharmonic cycle on Sony. He did a digital cycle with the New York Philharmonic, and then he did this thing with the Philharmonia, the late cycle. It's incredibly slow tempos. It's horrible beyond all imagining, by and large. So the Vienna one has some good things in it. But he has an even longer relationship with Mahler 4, because he made an earlier recording in France with Heather Harper, actually, was the soloist in the finale, believe it or not. That was released in the United States anyway on Nonsuch. And it was a scrappy, boring, strange performance as well. Not anything like as good as this one. So we think about it. I mean, here's a guy whose Mahler was never in demand, who recorded the thing 4 times. I mean, it tells you the 4th symphony anyway, 4 times, the lucky number 4. It just goes to show how completely out of touch the record industry was. Because who promoted these 4 recordings of Mahler's 4? Other than the Sony cycle, which at least was on a major label that you could, wrap your brain around, and that could possibly do a little bit of marketing. It's just demented. So, I wanted to make that point. However, it's kind of like the old story that if you put a monkey in front of a keyboard and wait long enough, he'll eventually bang out a Beethoven sonata. Give him enough Mahler 4s and sometime it's going to click. Well, it clicked with the Vienna Philharmonic, which, as I've pointed out many times, is not really the best Mahler orchestra. They have to be forced to play Mahler correctly because his aesthetic is not really in keeping with the orchestra's aesthetic, which is, strings to the 4 and certain things like that. Although the prominence of the horns in the Vienna Phil really serves this symphony well because, as you know, Mahler left out trombones entirely. So you just have horns and trumpets in the brass section, and they play splendidly here. Also, Lorin Maazel's often droopy tempos tend to militate against the energy that Mahler often demands. However, here, there is a certain Gemütlichkeit to the whole thing, which really suits the music. Because the 4th it's a relaxed piece. Mahler even indicates that in his directions, that the tempos should be, mellow and relaxed quite often. And it's got that gorgeous Adagio 3rd movement, which they play wonderfully well here. There aren't any eccentricities. When Maazel would take a section and do something strange to it, and in the middle of anything, it's kind of like finding a fly in your soup or something like that. None of that happens. It's a slowish. The tempos are on the slow side, but it moves. It's gorgeously played. It's fabulously sung. It's the highlight of Maazel's Vienna Mahler cycle for sure. I mean, there's just no other performance in the set that really reaches this level of simultaneously detail, microscopic detail. I mean, strange, soft, suspended cymbals in the finale and things like that. Beautiful, touched-in details. But at the same time, also captures the whole picture. Captures the music's long lines. And it's played and recorded pretty stupendously. So, yeah, there are lots of really good Mahler fours, and others may appear in this series, because I don't think we can limit ourselves to just one of them. And it's also the symphony that people who don't normally do Mahler do. People who don't normally do Mahler do. People who don't normally do Mahler play. That sounds better, doesn't it? Because it's short. It's Mahler's shortest symphony, along with the first. It calls for relatively normal forces. It's not crazy expensive, and because it's so steeped in the music of Schubert above all, and the Viennese classics, that it's not so Mahler weird, grandiose type thing. So it appeals to a lot of people who wouldn't normally do Mahler, and some of them made really wonderful recordings of it. So yes, we may talk about others, but the bottom line is that for the moment, the greatest recording ever is this one. And it's just a standout in Lorin Maazel's discography, his Mahler discography particularly. And who knew? But he did it. He pulled it together, and he really did it. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.